Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. And if you're new here, well, that's exactly what I do. Now, many of you, if not all of you, know that I'm now using Canon cameras. I'm loving the Canon mirrorless system. I'm actually filming the close-up shot on my Canon R7. That's got the 50mm f1.8 lens on. I've got the wide shot here being filmed on my Canon R10, and that's got the 16mm lens on. They're both full frame lenses on APS-C body, so you've got that crop factor. I'm actually getting the wide shot up there on my Panasonic GH5 with the Leica 12 to 60 lens on. I would normally use something like my Canon R6, but I can't at the moment because I've got it in my hand, and there you go. And there's a reason for that. And the close-up shots are being picked up on my Sony ZV-1, and I'm playing with my Insta360 as well, so it's all a bit of fun. But the purpose of this video is to talk about the Canon EOS R6. Will I be upgrading the R6 to the R6 Mark II, being that I'm now using Canon gear? Some people have asked me, does it make sense to upgrade to the R6 Mark II? And for me, it doesn't. The R6 Mark II doesn't bring enough to me to warrant the upgrade. Now, the R6 Mark II has various advantages over the R6, but they're not advantages to me, to be honest, apart from one, which would be an advantage. Well, maybe two actually would be an advantage, but unfortunately not crucial. Now, I'm going to go through some of the spec differences between the R6 and the R6 Mark II. I'm not going to go into any detail. There's plenty of videos online about the new Canon R6 Mark II. What I will say is I think it represents really good value for money. It's coming in at around £2,500, which sounds a lot to the average consumer. Well, it is a lot to the average consumer. But if you're actually making money out of your photography stroke video business, then it's actually, not that significant really, because you have to weigh it up as to what the camera can do with regards to what you can earn from it. So, and even for me, I'm pretty much semi-retired as far as professional filming and photography is concerned. Well, I am, I don't do it anymore. But even running my YouTube channel, I do weigh up the pros and cons. Would there be an advantage in investing in the R6 Mark II? Now, the R6 Mark II has got a 24 megapixel sensor. This one has a 20 megapixel sensor. So that isn't enough for me to want to upgrade. The sensor size isn't a big enough difference. I find I get great images. I'll leave a link in the description to my Flickr page where you can take a closer look at the images taken on the R6 with, various lenses. And that would make a lot more sense than studying them on YouTube because of the YouTube compression and how long the video would be if I started rattling through all the different images. So that isn't a big enough reason to want to upgrade. The ISO range is exactly the same between the two. I'm just looking at my notes here. It's a RF mount, which is exactly the same. This has got, obviously it's a full frame body, which is the same as the R6 Mark II. You can't see the sensor because it's very clever. When you turn the camera off, a shutter comes down to protect the sensor from dust, grime, dirt, and all that sort of malarkey. So, one of my favourite features of the R6, funnily enough, I have no fear changing lenses when I'm out and about, or very little fear. So the R6 Mark II has in-body image stabilization, just the same as the R6. So that isn't a reason for upgrading. 3-inch articulating screen, that's exactly the same. And the viewfinder is exactly the same, so there's no upgrade there. So the R6 Mark II has a 12 frames per second mechanical shutter, just the same as the R6 does. And I find that really useful when I'm taking photographs of birds or wildlife with me RF 100 to 400. I will be reviewing that lens once I've got enough photographs to review it with. But the R6 Mark II can go up to 40 frames per second in electronic shutter. The R6 is only 20 frames a second. Well, that isn't enough for me to want to upgrade to the R6 Mark II. So far, you can see, there's just no reasons for me to upgrade at the moment so far. Both the R6 and the R6 Mark II shoot 4K video, but the R6 Mark II is very slightly sharper apparently because it's downsampling it from 6K, where the R6 is downsampling it from 5K. So you do get a little bit, well, apparently you're going to get a slightly sharper image on the R6 Mark II. But by the time you've edited it and you've uploaded it to YouTube, with YouTube's compression, are you really going to notice that increase in sharpness? I actually love the sharpness and the quality that comes off the R6. So again, that is certainly not enough for me to want to upgrade to the R6 Mark II. On the R6 Mark II, you can now shoot 180 frames per second in slow motion, where on the R6 it's only 120. So you can get a slightly slower image on the R6 Mark II. Again, that's not enough for me to want to upgrade to the R6 Mark II. I'm very happy with the 1080 slow motion that comes out of the original R6. The weight of both cameras is exactly the same, 680 grams. It's a great handling camera. The grip on the R6 is lovely. Apparently the grip on the R6 Mark II is going to be exactly the same. I expect it's a very similar size body, if not exactly the same size body. There are changes to the design of a body though. On the top here, which I never did like, is the on-off switch is on the left-hand side. Now I've mentioned this before in several videos that I've done, and I don't like the on-off switch being on this side because it means when you're out and about, it is a two-handed operation to be able to turn the camera on and off. And that is annoying. Where with the R7 and the R10, the switch is on the left-hand side where where you're holding the camera, and that makes a lot more sense to have the on-off switch around here or around the front, as they do on the Nikons, than it does to have it on the left-hand side. The R6 Mark II is now on this side as opposed to being on the left-hand side. What they've put on the left-hand side is a switch to be able to very quickly switch between video and stills, and that's a switch on the top here which has replaced the on-off switch. With the R6 you have to move the control dial, the PASM dial, into video by turning the dial around there. Not a big deal. For me, if I'm setting up to do video, I'm doing video. I am a hybrid shooter, but I'm not constantly quickly changing between photographs and stills. I'm setting up for video or I'm setting up for stills. So that doesn't, particularly bother me. So again, that isn't a reason to upgrade. But having the switch on the top is nice. And they're both weather sealed, so that isn't a reason to upgrade. The weather sealing on the R6 is excellent, but again, I don't go out taking photographs in extreme weathers, so a bit of rain, that's fine, that doesn't worry me at all. But one thing that is really handy on the R6 Mark II is they've removed the 30-minute record limit. And that is frustrating on the R6. When you are filming video, it does shut off after 30 minutes. Now when I do my videos in the studio here, it's really nice to have no record limit, which I have on the R6, on the R7, on the Panasonic GH5 and on the Canon R10. I'm getting confused with all these model numbers, I've got too many cameras. And on the R10, none of those have a video record limit, so I can keep on going and then I can cut out the bad bits in the edit rather than having to stop and start the camera. With the R6, I did have to be conscious that there is a 30-minute limit, unless I output it to my Atomos recorder, which I did do sometimes. And the other thing is, they've apparently cured the overheating. Now, I very rarely do get overheating issues with the R6, but I did get it once. I'd filmed, I think, 3 videos, and then it did overheat. The warning came on the screen, but it actually didn't turn the camera off. So I actually don't know when it would have, when it would have shut down, but I guess it would have shut down fairly soon after the warning came up. So, to summarise, there is absolutely no point in me upgrading to the R6 Mark II because the R6 does pretty much everything the R6 Mark II is going to do, apart from the video record limit and the overheating situation. I'm not worried about 40 frames a second burst shooting in silent mode. Well, it is silent mode in electronic shutter. I'm not concerned about it being a 6K oversampled image as opposed to a 5K oversampled image in 4K. And a few other tweaks that Canon have made to the camera. But what is great with this R6 Mark II is its price point. They have introduced it at pretty much the same price as what the original R6 came out 2 years ago. So I think that is great. They haven't increased the price. And what's also going to be great, the price of the original R6 is going to start coming down. So if you do want to grab yourself a really good deal on on the original R6, save yourself some money and put that money towards accessories, microphones, tripods, lenses, whatever you need, because you're going to be really happy with the results you get from the R6. Both the R6 and the R6 Mark II have got dual SD card slots. I thought the R6 Mark II may have had the new type of cards, but it doesn't. It's got the SD cards on the side. They both take the same batteries, which is the LP6 NH, HCN, whatever it's called. And you can use the original LP6s, which I've got in here. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and hit the like button if you like the content of this video. Really would appreciate that. Helps me grow the channel. Thanks very much. Cheers for now. Bye.